Elaine was looking for something new to do, and before long, Betty hired her as a manager. Both women worked hard, the company grew. Later, Betty decided she needed to spend more time with her family. She reduced the number of hours that she spent at work. Elaine continued at the same pace. However, even when Betty urged her to slow down, she kept working. And although she worked many hours overtime, Elaine was content with a flat salary each month, especially when Betty gave her a car allowance and other benefits outside of the contract. But as time passed and the company prospered, problems developed between Betty and her manager. Elaine was assertive. She didn't hesitate to express her ideas about the business in a forceful way. Betty was rather easygoing. She avoided confrontations with Elaine as much as possible, even when their opinions differed. Without meaningful communication, their frustration grew until it exploded into a heated argument. At the end of a long, hot day, tempers flared, and soon Betty said, "That's it! I'm tired of you always telling me how to run my company. You're fired." Over the next few weeks, Elaine's resentment of being fired deepened. Soon she was talking to an attorney about suing Betty to force her to pay $8,000 for Elaine's overtime during the previous 3 years. She had a right. Fortunately, a mutual friend learned of the falling out, was able to persuade them to submit their dispute to Christian conciliation, which, by the way, is a biblical mandate in First Corinthians. Don't go to the courts, involve fellow brothers and sisters to resolve it. The panel, consisting of an attorney, a respected friend, and myself, met with them several times over the next few weeks. During the early meetings, both women were extremely defensive. Each one justified her conduct, placed all the blame for the conflict on the other. After several fruitless meetings, we were losing hope of settling the dispute, but we agreed to meet one last time, and we asked both women to study certain biblical passages before we came back together. God used those scriptures to change Betty's heart. Next time we met, she took an entirely different approach. Instead of defending herself and focusing on her interests, she began to admit the things she had done that had contributed to the dispute. She confessed that she developed a critical attitude toward Elaine over the past year. She acknowledged she'd done a poor job of communicating with Elaine and given her inconsistent instructions. She admitted that she had let greed control some of her business decisions, that she'd been wrong to let her temper get out of control. Finally, Betty looked at Elaine and said, "You know, I've not only ruined a good friendship through this, I've also lost a great manager. I can't find anyone who works as hard as or manages the store as well as you do." Elaine's eyes filled with tears when she heard this. She said, "You don't know what this means to me. I've never been fired before. This destroyed my confidence." She paused and then she went on. She said, "But these events have forced me to see some things I need to make right in my life too. What you just said helps me believe that I can." When I end the story, she wasn't able to be reinstated. She had already taken another job. But Elaine agreed that Betty did not owe her money. Betty decided to give Elaine a generous gift to honor her work. Elaine accepted the gift by changing their attitudes and taking responsibility for their contribution. The friendship was preserved because they were Christians. A witness was protected. Most of all, God was glorified. May we, too, grow in walking the ways of peace. May we begin by taking the logs out of our own eyes. So as we engage the conflict, we can see clearly. Amen?
remain standing for the benediction. Following the benediction, we will sing Blessed Be the Tie That Binds. We are called to be God's people, showing by our lives His grace. One in heart and one in spirit, sign of hope for all our race. Let us show how He has changed us and remade us as His own. Let us share our life together as we shall walk down God's road. We are called to be God's servants, working in His world today, taking His own task upon us, all His sacred words obey. Let us rise and to His summons dedicate to Him our all, that we may be faithful servants, quick to answer now His call. We are called to be God's prophets, speaking for the truth and right, standing firm for godly justice, bringing evil into light. Let us seek the courage needed, our high calling to fulfill. That we all may know the blessing of the doing of God's will.
In the process of updating our contact information, so that at the back of the sanctuary are copies of the 2013 directory. If your information changed and you didn't correct it last week, please do so. Or if you're new, would like to be part of our directory, please submit the information. So, people of God, go forth from this place, determined not only to stand on the word, the principles of God, but to reflect God's heart, so that we may know the blessing of the doing